Rap News, Street Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube, and we back on the west side of South Central about to speak on the alliance between them Westside Brims. Now we know this alliance includes Fruittown, Six Deuce Harvard Park, and Van Ness Gangsta Brims. And the Brims did hit the spotlight lately when one of their members by the name of Heto got caught in the 9-0s. But we're gonna speak on a situation where Heto also got wrapped up in the indictment and how his older brother was killed over here at Harvard Park, as well as situations that transpired with Harvard Park and the 5-1 Troubles clicking up and pressing play on their enemies on the west side, along with other situations where all three Brim hoods were involved in multiple murders in a matter of months throughout different areas in the city. We also got some paperwork on some reputable members coming out the Brims as well. Now, statistically speaking, the Brims are controlling the top 2 most dangerous neighborhoods in LA. Number 1 being Chesterfield Square, which is occupied by the VNGs and the 6-0s, going from 54th to Florence between Van Ness and Western. And the number 2 area, which the LA Times deemed to be the most dangerous area for African Americans in LA County, is Harvard Park. Now, we know there's a few different hoods in Harvard Park, but the main set, of course, is going to be 6 Deuce Brims. There's also going to be the Rollin 50s, and a piece of A Tray is going to be in Harvard Park as well, going from 54th to Florence between Western and Normandy. And like I said, within the last decade, Harvard Park is rated the deadliest place for African Americans in LA County.
Hey, welcome to the set. It's the land of the Brims. Baby, nah. We gang bang and scream at F.H.N. Nigga, what it is. Nigga, what it do from the deuce to the nest to the motherfucking
big nah. Nobody trying to board them. Niggas got dead niggas on. Hold on. Watch it. All crabs. Out of fake crabs down the street. All that.
Now, like I said, there's 3 sets making up the Brims on the west side. But the main thing we got to understand is that the Brims were here before the Bloods. They was beefing with Crips before the Bloods came into the picture. And as of today, they're going to share the same allies and enemies between all 3 sections. So hoods that they definitely known to get along with are definitely the Inglewood Bloods. We've seen different Inglewood Blood sets and the Brims functioning together on multiple occasions. And even though the Brims are not with the SMG movement, that Suwu moving and grooving situation, who most people say really plays no role in the streets for real, we do see 6 Deuce Harvard Park being on good terms with the A-Tray gangsters, really not involved in the beef at this time in the city. And the Brims also share their hood with Florencia, the Harvard Park section of Florence. And they've known to be cool with F13 as well. There's been no beef, even though Florence is cool with 6-0 as well. And we see the Brims being cool with pretty much all of the blood hoods on the east side as well. But each section does individually have their own primary beef that's relative to their position geographically in the city as well. So we know, starting off with Fruittown Brims, we've heard a lot about their area being gentrified over the last maybe 10, 15 years due to the expansion of the student body in USC. But historically, they've gone from Jefferson all the way down to 39th between Normandy and Vermont, with clicks on 35th, 37th, 36th, 38th, and they've been known to be cool with the 20 Bloods over here, as well as the Harpies. But their primary beef in this section, we know it to be the Rollin 30s, and across King, the Rollin 40s. Now, they also beef with Schoolyard and West Boulevard as well, who, like we spoke on multiple times, is cool with the Harlems and pretty much the rest of the neighborhood car. But with that area, with the Brims, like I said, kind of losing turf, we do see Fruittown members frequently in other Brim sets as well. So we also know the VNGs historically going from about 49th down to Slauson between Crenshaw and Western. Now, 54th Street is going to be their main block over here around 54th and Arlington. Van Ness Rec Center, Fishtown. We know this area is not coming down, and some of their main enemies are going to be the 5-5s, 5-7, and 5-8s across Western. The 6-0s, of course, who are across Crenshaw and across Slauson from them. The 40s, they beef with the 5-1 Troubles and the 5 Deuce Hoovers. And they share the intersection on Western and Slauson with 6 Deuce Harvard Park Brims, which is going from Western all the way back to Hoover between Slauson and I would say Gage. Now, we know HPB is mainly around the park on 62nd, but they do control this area, and the Slauson swap meet is technically in 6 Deuce Brim Hood. But we know the neighborhoods and the Brims for sure coexist up there. Now, the 6 Deuces are heavily beefing with the Hoovers, the 5 Deuces and the 5 Nines. All Brim sets is gonna be beefing with all Hoover sets. And there used to be a 5'9" Brim in this section as well, but we know today that's 5'9" Hoover. Just south the gates, they also beefing with the 6'7s and the Menlos. And overall, the Brims is gonna be beefing with everything from the 30s to the 100s, as well as East Side neighborhood sets like East Coast. Now, we did a video a couple months back when them peace talks was in the air between the Hoovers, the Gangstas, and the neighborhood Crips. In that video, we spoke about the Brims not moving off their position since they really had no incentive to stop beefing with the neighborhoods or the Hoovers since they beefing with both of them. They're one of few hoods that are completely in the middle. And shout out my people from 6 Deuce, man. Y'all know who you is. When I spoke to the homie recently about that same topic, he said it's up. There is no room for any peace treating with any of these hoods, so that's just what it is. There's a lot of stuff that's still going on in this area, and we're gonna break down what's been popping between the neighborhoods as well as the Hoovers with the Brims.
How you ever had them niggas hit the corner on you? How you ever stacked this cause them boys was on you? Hey, how you ever think it out, it's like 2 in the morning? Hey, how you ever pulled up and you knew that she wanted it? Yeah, how you ever seen your house and you knew they didn't want it? Yeah.
Now we gonna speak on the time when the 6 Deuce Brims and the 5'1" Trouble Gangsta Crips did link up together to press play on some neighborhood Crips. The 6 Deuces and the 5'1s were cool at one time. But recently we know the Brims have been talked about because of the situation that happened with one of their members, Heto, off of 92nd and Western. Now Heto was caught with a female who's an associate or an affiliate of Brims. We see her hanging out with a lot of dudes from these Westside Brim sets, and I heard her people list some factors from the Brims. Now, I don't know if she's an official member or part of the FHN, but nonetheless, she will be considered somebody from Brims. Now, everybody saw some dudes from 9-0 came up to Heto and the female, banged on them, asking them if they was from Brims while dissing at the same time. Heto turned it down, the female turned it down initially on camera, and it was a bad look for Heto.
On the dead homies, you ain't from Rams?
Sir, you ain't from Rams.
You ain't from Rams, bro?
No, sir.
On the hood, you on gangbang, right?
You going on your phone? Who you
On the set, y'all ain't from Rams?
What's that paw on your face?
All right, y'all.
He got a paw.
Cutting off from Snoover?
He got a dead paw.
On the dead homies, nigga. Fuck Snoover, nigga on the hood.
Fuck Snoover.
Okay. Dead homies.
Now, what a lot of people may not know about is the situation that transpired after the camera turned off. It's been said that Heto had caught a ride up out the 9-0s at this time and left the female there in the car. Now, the 9-0s recognized the car because the female had a face card that people know, and that's why they got up on them in the first place. They already knew what was up. But it said that Heto dipped out on the female, and the 9-0s bought some females over to catch a fade with that female, who, like I said, is a Brim affiliate. It said that female took the fade from the 9-0 females and ended up whooping on the 9-0 females as well. So seemingly she ended up doing what she was supposed to do. I don't know if she had much of a choice. Her whip was there, so at some point she had to face the shit. But it said Heto peeled out on her. Now, as of this time, we know Heto has faced his DP, and it said that it was extensive and thorough. But it was just a bad look overall for how he represented. And Heto is a for sure member from HPB. And we know HPB is known for not only putting in work, but they are known for them flock teams. Heto was a part of a 31-man indictment that alleged members from Brims and other sets was targeting elderly and Asian people in a burglary ring across LA County. Now, Heto, whose real name is DeMonte Sears, went down on this 93-count indictment. And we know flocking has been very popular in the city over the last 15, 20 years with targeting celebrity houses. It said 8 of the defendants on this case was the ones responsible for targeting Rihanna crib, Robert Woods from the Rams crib, and Yasiel Puig from the Dodgers. And there was allegations about that dude that killed that 81-year-old lady in Beverly Hills. She was a wife of a music executive. They said he was from Brims as well. That happened back in 2021, and he ended up taking 150 years on that. But Heto was known in this section way before all those events had transpired with the Brims. and Heto was involved in that as well. But Heto was known in this section way before that time. And him and his people was involved in a tragic event that did take place at Harvard Park in 2012.
Don't trust bitches cause they be acting tricky. Don't like ops, tell them to come and get me. Got my pole, just know I keep it with me. I just cracked that stove, but for another 50.
Now, September 25th, 2012, it said that a 19-year-old named Patrick Carruthers, who was Heto's big brother, was a volunteer up at Harvard Park. He was 19 at the time, and his family has said that he overcame learning disabilities and ended up finishing high school, getting himself into LA Trade Tech, and was volunteering at the park. Not a gang member, a true innocent kid in the neighborhood. It said that he had on either some burgundy or red color attire while he was sitting on the bench at 3 in the afternoon in Harvard Park. It said that somebody jumped out on 62nd and ended up killing Heto's big brother right here, seemingly for no reason. And he seemingly was unsuspecting of it due to the fact that he had on headphones at the time when these events transpired. Now, it said after they killed him, they jumped back in the car, heading west on 62nd and south on Dinker. And as you can imagine, this was a tragic event in Heto's life. And like most people, stuff like this is what pushes people over the edge deeper into this street shit. So this is why it kind of looked even worse for Heto. He's not new to this shit. You know what I'm saying? He didn't just jump off the porch. But the key thing is, even though the Brims beef with all the neighborhoods, them and the 9-0s are nowhere near each other. It's no real reports of the 9-0s and the Brims going back and forth with gunplay like the Brims in the 60s or the Hoovers or the Menlos. There was even a time where it said that a member named Pancho sadly lost his life in the 50s by somebody from Block. So that's an account where the Brims and the Blocks have an issue. But like I said, I don't know if there's any real beef or tension with the gunplay between the 9-0s and the Brims. So this situation really would have just resulted in a fade for Heto, and he should have just got out the car and took it. But regardless of this incident, we know the Brims are somewhat selective in the people that they put on in their section, and they've always been known to have reputable homies coming out of their set. We know they exist in San Diego, New York, New Jersey, St. Louis. The Brims hold a heavy reputation, and it's said that while the county is on a downtrend in terms of murders, Harvard Park is on an uptrend when it comes to the homicide rate, especially with African Americans. Now, we know Florencia also occupies this area, and it's said that blacks and browns still make up 66% of the residency over here in Harvard Park. But Florence is really going at it with 18th Street in this area. I'm gonna keep it real. They're not beefing with the 6-0s, the A-Trays, or the Brims. They beefing with 18th Street, street villains. So the murders are really concentrated between the black community in this section. But we gotta rewind the clock back to October 2016. Now, 2016 was definitely one of the hottest years for the Brims. But at this time, we seen them and the 5-1 Troubles pull a tag team move looking for the Harlems. So on October 4th, 2016, it said that John Patrick and Ronald Collins, who are brothers, was kicking it at a female house named Kenyatta Lloyd. Now, John Patrick is from 5-1 and Collins is from 6 Deuce Brims. Collins had his homies from 6 Deuce over there, James Hill and Bernard Smith as well. It said they was drinking over at Lloyd house chilling, and Lloyd had a rental car. Now, the key thing we have to remember, the 5-1s and the Brims, they share the same enemies, of course, aside from the Hoovers. So everything was cool over here with them all kicking it. Now, they said they drank until about 10 or 11, and John Patrick ended up taking a rental car, and everybody loaded up to get some more drink. Now, they came back to Lloyd's crib, and they started sipping again till about 2 a.m. Now, Patrick tell Lloyd, let me take the whip, take the homies home. I'm gonna bring the rental car back to you tomorrow. She said it's cool. Later on down the line, she goes on to say she didn't see them hatching a plan, nothing funny at all, everything was cool. They peeled out from her house at 2 a.m. Police get a call at 2:22 from somebody who said they was just assaulted on King and Normandy. Now we know King and Normandy is the borderline between the Harlems and the 40s, but going this far up Normandy, they was looking for the 30s. Now when police got here to the intersection of King and Normandy, they hear 4 to 7 shots and seen a burgundy SUV creeping down King, making a right turn, going south on Normandy. Now when the SUV get past them, they said they see 28-year-old Demond Jones laying on the floor with 4 gunshot wounds to his body. Now at this time, they ended up following the SUV down Normandy till about 42nd. It said that at 42nd, the SUV took off and crashed on 47. Now when it crashed, they bought the bird out and everybody in the car scattered. It said that Patrick, Hill, and Smith were seen getting out the car, and the chopper had the heat sensor out, and they set up a perimeter and ended up gaffling Smith and Hill. Now it said later that day, they grabbed John Patrick. Now that right there, that's almost a telltale sign. I'm gonna keep it real. To go down later that day, 2 of your homies had already went down. You didn't go down with them. The police is not pulling fingerprints in a day. They gotta process the murder scene. They gotta take the car. The fingerprints is not popping up and you're not getting nabbed in the first day. Really only 2 things can happen. Either you are identified at 3 in the morning running from the car, which is highly unlikely. I mean, unless the folks know you in this section and say, that's whoop-de-whoop at 3 a.m. and we gonna get them later, I seen them running. Or the 2 people that went down and said who they was with. Now, I can't say that they did that, but I done seen this situation happen before. And it's like, how did you catch me in the same day? But that's neither here nor there because he goes down anyway, and it said that the helicopter only picked up 3 people. Mind you, I told you there was 4. Patrick, Collins, Hill, and Smith that had peeled out from Lloyd House that night. Even with the heat sensor, the helicopter only picks up 3. At the scene of the crash, police pick up a .38, which was matched to the bullets that was used to kill Demond, and now 3 of these dudes sitting down for the body. Now, surveillance camera footage caught the burgundy SUV on Normandy and King, and it showed a hand pop out the passenger side window and start letting off. And it said that it also caught the person from the passenger side wearing a white tank top. John Patrick also had on the white tank top when he jumped out after the crash. So of course the folks felt like they was close to having a man. But the next day, October 5th, Patrick is on a jail call with his mom and tells his mom that Collins was with him. Collins didn't go down. He didn't get picked up by the heat sensor. He dodged the perimeter. Why are we even talking about Collins? Mind you, Patrick and Collins are brothers. So his mama know Collins. He say Collins was with him. The next day, October 6th, Patrick on the phone with somebody named Tweet, and Tweet told Patrick, why y'all do that? Y'all killed an innocent. Patrick said he wasn't innocent. This is all on the jail call. He talking about Demond Jones was a member. They got their man. It wasn't a mistake. But Demond Jones' father said that he had a disability. He said he had a bone disability, which made it hard for him to walk and really get around. Now, I don't know what he was doing outside at 2 in the morning with a condition like this, but his father said that this murder was the equivalent of killing a little kid due to Demond Jones' disability. Now, back on October 5th, James Hill was also on the phone talking to his mom. His mom went on to say that she seen on the news that the police said there was only 3 people involved. And he replied, quote, so that means he got away, end quote, insinuating Collins had got away because he knew there was 4 people in the car. And then on October 6th, Kenyatta Lloyd, the person who again rented this vehicle that they did this move in, she comes to visit Bernard Smith, and he goes on to tell her Lil shot somebody, and he referred to Patrick as Lil. Smith went on to tell Lloyd that Patrick was in the passenger seat, Collins was driving the car, and him and Hill were in the back seat. He also told Lloyd to go report the SUV stolen. She did that, and that resulted in her filing a false police report. So of course we know She went on to take the stand and testify at trial. At trial, Patrick and Collins was trying to plead their case, trying to get all them phone calls and all that shit thrown out, everything everybody was talking about on them jail phones, and it didn't work. They also had cell phone footage with pictures of them the night they was drinking at Lloyd House, dissing neighborhood and doing all kind of stuff, trying to prove to the jury that they went out to get somebody from Harlem. Now we know Harlem is not technically NHC, but the Brims beef with the 30s and they treat them just like they would any other neighborhood Crip. But in all, Patrick and Collins were both charged with first-degree murder and second-degree murder, with Patrick being sentenced to 50 years to life, Collins being sentenced to 55 years to life for the murder of Demond Jones over here off King and Normandy. Now, Bernard Smith is out already, and I believe James Hill is out too. But Patrick and Collins is still on that ride, man, as the driver and the passenger on the skid. Now, you know, as of this time, they fully fell out with the 5-1s. I don't think this situation had anything to do with that. I think it was mainly because the 5-1s got closer to the 5 deuces. And we know Harvard Park and the Harvard Park boys was beefing with 5 deuce and the 50 boys before they even formed over there across Slauson. This is something that's been going on between the beginning stages of Hoover and the Harvard Park boys since the 60s and the 70s. So it was only inevitable that with 5-1 getting closer to 5 deuce, the 5-1s were gonna fall out with the 6 deuces, regardless of how much family was involved.
Turn them to confetti, party planning, HB Louis Deuce 5, Jamal Carey, relapsed overdose, eyeless heavy, no gas and stab, mantle buckle, call it safety, I'm still tripping, squad hasty.
But with that being October 2016, that situation happened because of multiple murders that had transpired earlier in the year. And that takes us to Kenneth Ken Dogg Durden. Now, I've heard multiple different aspects to what happened to Ken Dogg, who was an OG over here from 6 Deuce Brims. He was killed on 62nd and Harvard, and this was the 4th murder at this corner that year. Now, I've heard accounts saying that the 5-9 Hoovers were involved in this murder, but some dudes from Fruittown who were also there when Ken Dogg was killed ended up getting retaliation on Western and 42nd. Now, like I said, Ken Dogg, a G homie from HPB. And on February 23rd, 2016, it said that he was sitting in his car over here on 62nd and Harvard, right by the park, when somebody came up and killed him. And as you can imagine, this sent the Brims up. Now, it said that Baby Stretch from Fruittown and G Telly from Fruittown were both involved in the situation that took somebody out due to their G homie being hit on 62nd. Now, Baby Stretch is that dude that we seen on street TV. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jamar Wilson. And G Telly is Montel Egan's, also a part of Yard Down Music, the record label that the Brims had that Baby Stretch and Lil Stretch had spoke about on street TV. Both of these dudes got cracking on behalf of their homie.
There's a kind of symmetry to the death of 33-year-old Jermaine Williams. We see him with a dove and the wings of an angel on a poster commemorating his passing. And it was at Buffalo Wild Wings where something happened that led to his murder on Friday, February 26th at about midnight.
Now, it said that 3 days after Ken Dogg was killed, they was holding a vigil when somebody got a call that a dude named Jermaine Williams was up at that Buffalo Wild Wings on Crenshaw. Now, I don't know why that Buffalo Wild Wings, very shady. Somebody tried to set me up in that Buffalo Wild Wings. That's just a no-go zone. I don't, just stay away from that Buffalo Wild Wings. But when he got that call, Wilson also received a message on his phone from one of his homies telling him to stand down. He didn't want Baby Stretch to be caught up in a revenge murder because he got too much to lose. Baby Stretch said he respected it, but clearly he wasn't hearing it, and he peeled over to that Buffalo Wild Wings anyways. Now, it said when they got over there, he met up with Montel Egan's because he knew Montel had the burner. So he goes in to the Buffalo Wild Wings to scout it out and make sure they man is inside, in which Jermaine Williams was inside with his girlfriend, Jade Elliston. After Williams and his girl finished eating Buffalo Wild Wings, they jumped into their BMW, being followed by Wilson and his white Infiniti, and they had a homie caravanning named Ernest Reyes in a white truck. Now, they got up on Williams on Western and 42nd, and an eyewitness said they saw 7 shots coming out of the Infiniti, going into the BMW, hitting Williams 4 times with the 40. Now, Jermaine did previously stay on 48, but like I said, I've heard accounts of the 5'9" Hoovers being responsible for Kendall, so I can't say if Jermaine Williams, aka Strong, was from 40s or if he was from 5'9", but this did happen in the 40s. Now, with the eyewitness to this whole situation, of course they pointed out the white Infiniti, and Baby Stretch instantly became a target. Now, when Baby Stretch went down, G Telly was already down. For what? I don't know. But they ended up putting both of these dudes in a cell together, and Baby Stretch was expressing some of his worries about the case to Egan's. He said he was telling Egan's that the police had X amount of evidence and this, and that, and Egan's telling him like, yo, stop talking, they just trying to scare you. So he really just wanted Baby Stretch to shut up. But they pulled Baby Stretch out of the cell, set him down in that room, and he made some statements. He threw Egan's under the bus, saying that Egan's fired the weapon at Williams' car. Now, this came after he denied having a white Infiniti, but his girlfriend told the police that he did actually own a white Infiniti. So then he recanted that statement, ended up to admitting having a white Infiniti, where he initially said that he loaned it to Egan's. Egan's is the one that slid up to the Buffalo Wild Wings, busted on Williams, and he said that he got rid of the car because it was used in a murder. Baby Stretch just started doing too much talking. He said he was at the scene when Kid Dog had got killed, and really just sold himself up in the motive and in the move itself. And with trying to throw Egan's under the bus, it seemed like everything backfired, because Egan's is not in CDC and Baby Stretch was sentenced to 32 years to life for this situation, man. And the crazy part about it is Jermaine Williams had a daughter that was born a day after he was killed over here on 42nd and Western. But I can't say if he was officially named as a suspect or the assailant in killing Ken Dog, but the Brims were set on the fact that he had some type of involvement. And there we see a connection between Fruittown and Harvard Park putting in work together. Now, mind you, Ken Dog got killed on February 23rd. Jermaine Williams was killed February 26th. February 29th, we back in Harvard Park, where another 6 Deuce member was getting cracking. I'm telling you, they went up for their G homie. It said February 29th, 2016, Deontay Ruffin was going over to his grandmother's house with his female and one of their homies in the car. It said he jumps out on 57th in the 5-5s, where he stayed. He stayed between 57th and 58th and Dinker. He jumps out, runs into the crib, hops back in the car. At this time, 18-year-old Victor Weathers from Brims pulls up in a silver car and blocks their car off. It said that Weathers jumps out, walks up to 24-year-old Deontay Ruffin, shooting him 3 times in the chest and killing him right here on 57, marking the 3rd murder involving the Brims in 6 days. Now, the key thing that we always see, man, everybody say he wasn't affiliated, he wasn't this, he wasn't this, he was an innocent. Some people actually are innocent. But when niggas put that legwork in and start uncovering shit, it just is what it is. As we see right here, Deontay Ruffin stayed on Dinker. We're not gonna put the whole shit out, but he stayed on Dinker at 57. Look at his email. Young Hoodster in the 50s. That's a neighborhood Crip email. Now, we're not here to put jackets on just about anybody, but you can't refute evidence like this, that this dude was starting to become an affiliate, or he was a full-fledged member of the Rollin 50s, whether it be 5'5", 5'7", or 5'8". 24 years old. Withers was 18 at the time. Now, I'm not saying any murder is justifiable, but when you sign up for this game, these are the rules and the repercussions that come behind it. You know, it's a lot of people that come out here playing, and they people not knowing that they jumped off the porch in the streets. But nonetheless, Withers was convicted of 25 years of life for this murder on Deontay Ruffin, further solidifying why the LA Times says this area is the #1 worst area for African Americans in the whole county of Los Angeles. Now that was February 2016. We gotta go to January 2016 when the VNGs got cracking.
Take a close look at the left side of your screen. This security video shows a moment 21-year-old Garrick Michael Thomas crosses the street and a vehicle begins to follow him. Police say seconds later, the passenger jumps out of the car and opens fire.
Now, January 25th, 2016, Marquise Joseph and his big homie, Gregory Bradley, were rolling through their hood, 54th 9th Ave. That's VNG hood, and I would say the middle of their hood. I know Arlington and 54th is really the middle. Shout out Fishtown, one of the best fish spots in the city. I don't know if they're still up, but I love that spot. But that's the middle of their hood, 54th, 9th Ave, Arlington, all around here. While they rolling around, it said that Garrick Thomas is on the phone with his mother walking to the liquor store. Surveillance video shows a silver convertible pull up on 54th, and the eyewitness states that they saw a man walk up to Garrick Thomas and fire 3 to 5 shots, putting his hands back in his pocket and walking back down 9th Ave. And then surveillance video catches the silver convertible going north on 10th Ave. Now they was on one this night. It seemed like they was just rolling around. When they seen Garrick, they was about to make a left turn, but as soon as they seen him crossing the street, they hooked the right and seemingly got up on him. Now, I don't know if words were exchanged, if they banged on him, but this area is a hot spot. It's not far from Crenshaw High. And we know 10th Ave is one of the main blocks for the 6-0s. Even though it's closer to 10th Ave and Hyde Park, we still on 10th Ave. It said that Thomas was shot with a .357 or a .38 in the head over here and died on the scene. And on March 9th, 2016, Marquise Joseph, aka Tiny Mad from VNG, went down on an unrelated case. Now, when he went down on this unrelated case, they found a cell phone next to him. And when they ran the cell phone info, they found that on the day of the murder of Garrick Thomas, this cell phone was pinging on a tower next to it, and it called Gregory Bradley, whose cell phone also pinged on a tower next to the murder of Garrick Thomas. And it was also noted that Bradley had rented a silver convertible January 19th and returned it January 26th, a day after Garrick Thomas's murder. But that seemingly wasn't enough to hold Marquise. They released him on those unrelated charges, and he's back on the streets. Mind you, this is 2016. Hella murders was going down between Fruittown, Harvard Park, and VNG on their enemies. But Tiny Mad laid low until the next year, April 6, 2017, where it said he was in the car with Derek Beeman, who was also from VNG, Stephanie Doty, who was allegedly from BPS, and another one of their homies. Now it said they ride down Crenshaw and they stop at 74th to get some blunts from the liquor store. Now 74th and Crenshaw technically is gonna be an Inglewood family hood, but just past Florence is the 6-0s. This is not something unusual for members to do. This is what Heto should have did. Going to another blood area. You don't stop in the 9-0s. You stop in an area that's somewhat friendly to you. He could have stopped in the Inglewood families, the Avenue Parus. He could have went all the way up Western, back to his hood potentially. Because anything down Western from the Brims, past the 8 trades, is going to be a no-go zone. Because it's all neighborhood. But nonetheless, these guys pull up to 74. Now, I don't know what happened if somebody recognized these individuals, but it said that Juan Ingram and Joshua Pippin are standing outside this liquor store when 2 men come up to him and ask them if they know anybody from 6-0. Now, that's how Joshua Pippin presented the question when he was on the stand, saying if they knew somebody from 6-0, not are they from 6-0. But nonetheless, Juan Ingram says, yes, I do know people from 6-0. And at this point, he gets banged out right here in front of the store. And it said after this, 2 men fled in a white vehicle. Now, an eyewitness saw the white vehicle and said there was about 5 people in the vehicle and they had the license plate. The car came back to Stephanie Doty from BPS. Now, the day before the shooting, this white car did get pulled over with Beeman driving. So police already knew what to look for. They found the car the next day, April 7th, after the murder. with Stephanie Doty driving it, and they found Tiny Mad's job identification in the whip as well. Now, it said Ingram was hit with the same type of gun that Garrick Thomas was hit with, a 38 or a 357. No shell casings were left on the scene. And after they found Tiny Mad's identification in the whip, they hop on his social media and figure out he caught a bus to Oklahoma and was out of there. Now, they ended up catching him in Oklahoma, bringing him back to LA, where he threw him off and tried to say his name was Lil Avenue Red, and he wasn't Tiny Mad. And they end up hitting him with the Perkins and throwing him in the cell with a confidential informant. Now, the crazy thing is, this dude wasn't laced properly, or he was just on one. The confidential informant told him that he was from East Coast. Now, I know the Brims and the East Coast are pretty close to each other, closer than the Brims and the 9-0s. This situation is kind of like with Heto and 9-0. Even though it's no active beef, it's no reason to be talking to this dude. He's still from neighborhood Crip, especially in the county. The Perkins said he from East Coast, and he said he heard VNG had a lot of young homies putting in work. Tiny Man replies, "Yes, we do, and I'm one of them." And at this point, he goes on to talk about the murders of both Ingram and Garrick. He said that his big homie Gregory Bradley was with him on that murder of Garrick Thomas, and he not gonna snitch, so he ain't got nothing to worry about. He said he got rid of the gun. It was a revolver. He told the informant he got rid of it, and he told the informant about the silver convertible that they did the hit on Garrick in. But when they went to trial, it was all over anyways, man. He didn't even need the Perkins, because Stephanie Doty took the stand on him. Now, again, it's alleged that she was from BPS, but at the time that she hopped on the stand, she said she had debriefed and was no longer gangbanging, and went to place everybody in the car, from Tiny Mad to Beeman, who was her cousin from VNG, and the driver. She said Tiny Mad is the one that came back to the car with the gun, insinuating that he did the shooting, and she went on to help the people convict Tiny Mad of 2 counts of second-degree murder. So as we can see, the Brims, of course, everybody in the city know this, but they get active. And like I said, even when the city's on a downtrend of murders, their situation still is on the uptrend. As we see, they lost a top homie over here by the name of KC, Deshaun Barley. Now, he was killed over here in the A-Trays, in the Northside A-Trays, off Normandy and Florence, at that AutoZone while he was trying to get stuff for his whip. It's alleged, now I said it's just allegations, that the Menlos are responsible for that. That was back in 2022. Now, we've seen a lot of dudes from the Hoovers to the Menlos kind of claim or take responsibility for it, but this situation has also caused the Brims to be press and play on their enemies. Like I said, KC was a top member from this section. And at this borderline, the Menlos are right here, just past the 7-1s. The 6-7s, the Menlos, Rollin 70s are very close to this intersection, as well as the Hoovers, man. The 7-4 Hoovers are close over here as well. But either way, man, we got to say rest in peace to everybody that done lost their life in all of the sections that we touch about. Not just the Brims, not just the Hoovers, not just the neighborhoods. Everybody, black, brown, white, whatever it is, man. We know how it go down in the city, but to keep it real, stay out of Harvard Park, stay out the VNGs, top 2 most dangerous areas in the city, man. This Rap News Street Politics. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Tap in with us on Instagram. We coming back with another one real soon, man. We out.
Hey, bleep, bleep, I got a pass. I hit the corner, did the dash at TMF, I haul ass. Why y'all broke niggas mad? Cause I be getting to the bag and I be counting all this cash. Hey, TMF, I stay passing. So they plotting on my bag. Why you think I bought the stash? I ain't scared to make it blast. I'll make a body bag and have the police on their gas.